you like my red socks? Hello and welcome back. My name is Jahan, and as always, I am so happy you're here. I'm also very excited about this episode because I'm going to show you how to apply marquetry using wood veneers onto a secondhand table lamp. But let's quickly rewind. For this project, I was inspired by marquetry artist Chelsea Vivash, whose website and Instagram I've linked to below. Marquetry is always a technique I've wanted to experiment with. So I started out from ordering some wood veneer from Amazon. When it arrived, let me tell you, I was so awestruck by the beauty of each individual piece of wood veneer. The colors and the grains were absolutely stunning. I was so inspired by the colors and the grains, so I started to think about what secondhand piece of home decor I could use to try this technique on. I had a few ideas to try this technique, including a piece of art, a frame, a mirror, and a table lamp. So I decided to put a vote out on Instagram, and the table lamp was the clear winner. So I set off to find a secondhand lamp with a wooden base. I actually managed to find one, and I had seen it the week before. So I was quite worried that it wasn't going to be there because where I live, things go really fast at thrift stores, but it was still there, thank goodness. And I think the reason why is because it had two really big chips on the base. But as far as I'm concerned, all I could see was the potential. This was one of the most enjoyable and satisfying projects I have ever worked on. It was so nice to try a creative technique, and as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. I also love the fact that I could work in my studio. Typically I work on much larger pieces and I have to work out of my workshop in my garage or on my back deck. So I felt very professional working in my studio and not having to worry about getting paint on my clothes. Anyway, if you like this episode, please give it a like and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. I've got so many more upcycling and DIY projects coming your way. All right, let's get making. I'm so excited to upcycle this lamp and apply marquetry using wood veneer. To start with, I removed the lampshade and got rid of the varnish from the wooden base using my detail sander and an 80 grit sandpaper sheet. I had to do some repairs to the base using wood glue and remake one corner using wood filler, which actually worked way better than I thought it would. Then it was time to start sketching my design. This was so exciting. I traced around the base to begin with, then drew various shapes inside the outline. I wanted the pieces to be curvy and round, and I also used a glue bottle to make semicircles. I taped the sketch onto one piece of wood veneer and used my pencil firmly to draw over the sketch lines over and over again to indent the veneer underneath. I removed the tape and was so happy to see it worked. Following this, I carefully cut the pieces of wood veneer with my craft knife, making sure to cut the lines a few times lightly. Some of the veneer was more tricky to cut because of the thick wood grain, but after a bit of trial and error, I got more confident and into the swing of things. I used the main piece of veneer as the feature for the first side and chose 3 pieces. Then I filled in the rest of the shapes using different wood veneers. I used lots of low tack tape to keep the pieces in place, which really helped while cutting. Once I was happy with the design and layout, I applied a lot of wood glue directly to the wooden base and placed each piece of veneer in position while taping them down as I went along. Then I used a spare piece of MDF and clamps to keep the veneer flat while drying overnight. I repeated these steps to the other sides and the top of the lamp base, so it took me about 4 days to complete. I was so excited to remove the MDF and clamps for the final time, and after working on the lamp for the last few days, I've learned so many different things. Contrasting wood veneers and positioning the grains in different directions made the design more beautiful and unique. And I think it's best to make sure the marquetry design is different on each side, but also positioned in a way that 1 or 2 elements on each side flows into the next. Following this, I smoothed the veneer on each side and the top of the base with sanding paper. First with a 120 grit sheet, followed by a 240 grit sheet. After dusting off the lamp base, I applied 2 coats of glossy varnish with a microfiber cloth, allowing for the first coat to dry before applying the second coat. Then I protected the lamp base in plastic and tape and spray painted the hardware gold. And that's it. I am so thrilled with how it turned out. The joints aren't perfect, but they're pretty close, and for my first attempt at marquetry, I am so happy. This was a very meditative project and I learned a lot of new skills along the way. If you've got any comments, questions or suggestions, please feel free to let me know below. You'll also find links to all the materials I used as well. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and let me tell you, it was equally rewarding and challenging. As with every single project, I always learn something new, but this was definitely in a whole nother league. A few things that I learned is I think it's important to make sure that the design on each side is completely different, but also that each design flows into the next by having one or two elements that connect, which you can actually see here and here. I also think using contrasting colours next to each other, as well as placing the wood grains in different directions, made this look even more beautiful than I could have anticipated. I also wasn't too worried about lining up each piece perfectly. This is the first time I've ever tried marquetry, and I had a feeling, more like a suspicion, that sanding would help limit this, and actually in the end it did, but only to a little bit. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't get too bogged down by the detail, just go with the flow and enjoy the process. Now, you don't have to apply varnish if you don't want to, but personally, I think it's great for two reasons. Not only does varnish protect the wood, it also brings out the natural colours and grains in the wood veneer, making it stand out and look even more beautiful in a room. As you can see, I've got quite a lot going on here, but that definitely stands out. I really hope this episode has inspired you to try marquetry. And if you love this episode, please give it a like and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. I already have another marquetry project in mind, which I am very excited about. See you next time.